Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is John with Tommy's Top Picks here to bring you your weekly flesh and blood market update. Let's jump into it. This is going to be a very short video. There is not much to talk about. The market is reaching a chilly state of inactivity. So it's not going up, it's not going down, which is fine. It happens. Summer doldrums, as we've called it many times. Um, and I think we're there. And I also think there is some imminent macroeconomic concern with a recession potential, unemployment increasing potentially, although we're not there yet. It seems the Fed's interest rate hikes are setting in. I think one of the big things that's probably going to freak people out and maybe even have an impact on employment in a ripple effect. It won't be right away. Is the student loan borrowing payments coming back, because that's a huge depression on expendable income. And so what that will do is end up slowing down purchasing, should bring down some inflation even further than it already is, and it has been coming down, um, and should end up ultimately leading to layoffs. But like I said, it's a ripple effect. It'll take some time. So reduce prices to try to keep things going. Can't afford your workers, fire workers, unemployment rises, etc. But it's a time thing. It won't happen right away. But I think we start seeing the first effects of it. The depression on spending will probably happen in the next few months based on the student loan thing, which is a huge overhang for a lot of people, especially in the card space. I'd imagine it affects a disproportionate number of people in this particular asset class. That said, if I'm right, if my suspicions are correct and that does happen, look for deals, because this is the time to be buying. It's one of those situations, not today, but during that time where that ripple effect plays out. It's one of those situations where the macroeconomic impacts will impact prices, and we'll see a further decline of boxes and the like. And I think it's interesting that well, I don't know if student loans will be the trigger. That's my suspicion, but it's interesting that that could be a factor in this moving forward. I have a feeling it will be, and we'll see it reflected in card prices across the board. For me, the way I look at things is whenever there's an opportunity like this, I scout, and then I get aggressive. So I keep an eye on certain things, look for specific patterns, and we'll talk about it over the coming weeks if they emerge, and if I see what I'm looking for, and I'll tell you about the things that I'm looking for as I jump on the trends and the ideas. So I will say, as of right now, the market's stable and still, which is a typical August thing. If you've traded equities or crypto or anything, there's often a dead period, particularly before an election. It's kind of like everyone's holding their breath before an election year, holding their breath to see how things are going to pan out. And it holds tight for a while, and then you get like a bit of a bump in the following year. It goes up during the actual election year. So that is a very standard historic practice. You can go look at the data yourself. It definitely exists. And that is something that is playing out, I think, in the card space. So let's dig in and talk about what there is to talk about, which, like I said, is not very much. So this should be pretty short. None of the unlimited have done anything. That's fine. That's 2 weeks in a row of just totally still stable unlimited. Awesome. I mean, that's you can't complain about stability. Crew is down 8.51%. We've been talking about this for a few weeks because it's been dipping down. We'll look at that chart. One of the few we'll actually look at, because I don't think it's worth going through a bunch of flat charts. But we'll go through Crew. And it's down to 548 from 599. As we've talked about, 493 was a recent low, so we're still not there yet. And then if we went back in the time series, it goes a little lower, but we're reaching those all-time lows, right? In my tracking. So 390, I think, is the low. Yeah. 390 is the low. So we're still a little ways off of the all-time low that I have tracked. So, I'm definitely keeping an eye on this, because this product is rare enough to be worth a pickup if we start hitting those all-time lows. Even if it's one of those, you're going to be holding on to it for a long time. And let me clarify about these opportunities. You're going to be holding on to them for a long time. So make sure you're able and willing to do that. This is not a Tendies game. This is not a flippers game. We are past that phase. The mania is done. And me personally, this is my comfort zone in trading. I spent many years, over a decade now, in crypto trading on the downfall of a bubble. So, and there's been multiple waves of this, but all the way back to 2011, 12 range, when it first broke $1. I think it was in 2010. I was watching it, and I got to see the first big spike up to, God, I can't remember what Bitcoin went up to. It was like, was it $20 or 200? It was 200 the second one? I can't remember. Whatever it was. It went from pennies to dollars to double digit quickly. And I was there. I bought my first Bitcoin at the $10 mark, and watched it climb and got exuberant, just like everyone does the first time they buy into the bull market. And then I watched it crash down to nothing, which is what has happened many times since. So you get to experience that euphoria and the sadness of, oh, I should have sold at the top. How did I not see that as the top? Blah, 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 blah. And it's very easy psychologically to realize, or to not realize, that it's impossible to call the top and it's impossible to call the bottom. So anyways, over these 5 cycles of this repeated pattern, I have developed a decent strategy of picking up dollar cost averaging. We've talked about that on the channel before, on the way down. When things start to get shaky and start to fall, I start to buy, and I get more aggressive on my buys as it dips lower and lower. And then as the market recovers, it's usually too late by the time the news is talking about it, the Twitter is talking about it, the social media, or the people or whatever are like, oh, getting hyped again. It's usually too late at that point. It's the quiet buys during the down period over long periods that tend to make out the best. And that's what I look for. And that's the time that I tend to like to jump in. Like I said, it's my favorite time. So I'll probably be doing that with cards over this cycle, and we'll see how it goes. Cards play a very different cycle. It does seem to be a 3 or 4 year period, and more like 4 or 5 year period, based on the data I've looked at, and that's what I expect the timing to be. So we're talking top to top. So if 2020, 2021 was the top, we're talking 2026 is the next top-ish. Total guess work here, right? Very new to this market, so I could be totally wrong on some of this stuff. But I'm going to apply the same principles and see if I can make a little money along the way. I'll also be buying collections at a discount on market and selling that through the TCG player stores I can. And that's kind of the way this whole idea is funded. You got to do the work to fund the experiment. So that's what's going on. Anyways, that was a lot of rambling. And yeah. Crew is down 8.5 cents at 5.1% to 548 from 599. I think that's going to be one of the first things that looks like a very solid pickup. Outsiders down 6.25 to 75%, or $75 from 80. Not really much to talk about here. It's in that range. It's just that bouncing area that it's been in for a while. So I don't even think we need to look at the chart. Honorable mention to Everfest. It jumped 4.82%. Didn't quite hit the 5% mark, but it did jump up. We did talk about this, how that was kind of an interesting dip point. That was really low for its recent area. So now it's kind of back into its normal area, especially since that has so many cards that people actually play with. Pretty good. Now, again, we did talk about this last week as well. There's a ton of supply, so don't speculate on this. This is one of those buy, crack, sell cards, and you'll probably do okay. If you got the itch, you need to crack and sort some cards. I know that feeling. All right. Anyways, moving on. We'll look at that chart. Let's go to crew. Yeah. Okay. So here's our recent low. Here's our recent low, and we're approaching it. I actually think we will pass it at this point based on macro indicators and things that I've been looking at in other spaces. This is an interesting one. When will the case come down? It has been rock solid during this decline. That will be an interesting time. That might be worth buying a case if it has a sudden capitulation moment, because this is a first 3, and getting a case of a first 3, a sealed case, is pretty solid. So we'll see. If it has a capitulation moment, that might be my buy-in time. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to keep an eye on this one. But yeah, it could definitely get lower. Like I said, 390 was the low I have tracked. So it's kind of a target area for me to start paying close attention. I don't mind if I miss the bottom as long as I get somewhere in that lower part of it, especially with cards because they move at a different pace than something like crypto. Crypto, I didn't mind buying down because it goes back up very quickly. Cards take a lot longer to recover, so I'm looking to buy the check mark, the swoosh, the bottom part. That's what I'm hoping to achieve. I guess I'll do this. I wasn't really gonna do this, but I'll do it. Let's see if I can dump that in there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to look at some best selling in the cards, individual cards. $35 cross wraps. It's come down quite a bit. You'll notice that one of the last buys was 45, and then before that was 20s. I don't know what happened there, but that's kind of wild. Currently selling for 35. I think Azalea has a chance to rise as Lexi LL's out, which it looks like she's on track to do. I don't know if you guys saw the various battle hardens and stuff, but man, that was crazy. Like, it's Lexi all over the place. Like 7 Lexis out of 8 in the top 8, 6 Lexis out of 8 in the top 8. It was nuts. So I have a feeling Lexi's gonna go soon. They didn't fix her, I guess, with the was it the handpiece that they banned. So I guess she's gonna be a meta core meta thing for a while. We'll see. Of this, nothing's really surprising. E-Strike's down to 24. That's a pretty good price, I'll say. If you don't have your play set, I would definitely keep an eye on that. Yeah, everything else is just kind of what you'd expect. Nothing too crazy, honestly. So, anyways, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoy the content. Sorry it's so short. Not much to talk about when not much is happening. So, hope you enjoyed the content. Leave a comment below. I imagine we'll have a few of these weeks. Leave me a note. Let me know what things I should talk about to supplement the lack of activity in the market, because I have a feeling we're going to see declines that are slow over a long period, and that will lead to multiple weeks of this kind of like nothing really happened. So I want to provide something that you guys actually enjoy watching. So let me know what I should look at, talk about, keep an eye on, and inform you about. I can go back to some of the macro conversation stuff that I was doing before, and see, we can just talk about different markets. That's fine. I'm happy to do that. Anyways, let me know. I hope you guys have a good one out there cracking packs, playing games, enjoying this hobby that we love. And until next time, have a good one.